watching me.
I'm just an average man with an average life. I work from 9 to 5. Hey, hell, I pay the price. All I want is to be left alone.
Happy Saturday, Oaklawn race fans, as Mother Nature has decided to bless us with some showers today, as we will get through those without any problems. Right, track announcer Matt Dinnerman. I'm your host, Nancy Holthus, and we are going to be discussing all 10 races on the card. But first, Matt, let's take a little look at the weather. Have you seen the radar?
I've seen the radar. You know, Mother Nature, she's different because in California, I know Mother Nature is the nice, sweet Mother Nature that gives us lots of sunshine. And then you come here and you see a little different side of her.
Yeah, you don't like the weather, just give it a day. We are going to have sloppy track conditions, winds out of the east at 5 miles per hour, patchy fog, and there is going to be some very consistent rain throughout the course of the race card, but we are at 55 degrees. I tell you what, I did love seeing the sun come out yesterday, and I thought, you know, if we didn't have all the rain in the forecast today, we would certainly be under at least a good, if not fast track by today, but it just keeps on coming. And yeah, I always like to watch training in the fog. I'm sure it's different for those actually out there on horseback,
right.
But that's when your sound sensories come in. We did have some people have very good days yesterday as we take a look at our news page. Christian Torres, one of them, as he leads to his already stellar number of victories with a hat trick on yesterday's program. And Ramon Vasquez is hot on his heels as he had a riding double in Francisco Arrieta. I almost thought, Matt, we were going to get him home in the last, but he is still just one victory away from 1,000 thoroughbred North American victories. I didn't know that he rode quarters for a little bit. Very interesting.
Does this include the
No,
quarters?
this is strictly thoroughbreds, the
Okay.
long necks, as I like to say. The Tinsel Stakes, Horace Mann is favored in the stakes debut over multiple graded stakes winner Red Route 1. And Sunday, very excited as we will have Future Champions Day, all 2-year-old 10-race card featuring multiple stakes winner Clee in the Year's End Stakes. Very excited to see Stuart Elliott in for that mount as well, and definitely want you to ring in 2025 here with us at Oaklawn. Live entertainment starting at 4 o'clock down in the hotel lobby all the way until 1 o'clock. All of our restaurants across the property will be staying open late as well. So very excited. Do you have any New Year's plans, or you just kind of like, for me, I'm happy for all the people that go out, but I just kind of think, okay, it's amateur night. I don't want to be around all the chaos, which could be fun. But what do you think?
I got invited to something yesterday, so I'm going to play it like Christmas. And for those who have tuned in the
He's
past,
party hopping.
I'm going to party hop.
Good for
I'm
you.
sure I'll get a few more.
Please be careful on the roads.
Yes.
Make sure you Uber or have a designated driver. It is too easy to not get a DUI.
Or you could just be the designated driver.
Or
How
you
about
could,
that?
well, I mean, that's no fun for me. but because I am going to stay home and chill out,
Yeah.
I do have a couple of people that say, if something happens, can I call you? I said, I would be upset if you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safety is the number one thing. Make sure that you get on the road sober only.
Yes.
Please.
Drive sober. What is it? What do they say on the things? Drive sober or get pulled over.
Oh,
Have
it's
you
like
seen
the
those
big
on
signs.
on the Department of Transportation signs? Yeah, those are pretty cool.
I can always picture just random people sitting in a room going, what are we going to put on the sign today?
Have you seen where those sometimes get hijacked and they put like these really off-color messages on
big
those?
time.
That's
Big
happened
time.
more, I think, out in California than anywhere else.
Or it's just somebody who wants a different job and says, we're going to give
Yeah,
one last
this is going to be
hurrah."
my last day. Here you go. So, all right, let's go ahead and get our 10 races underway. We've got a very, very solid card to give you for this 10 races. We're going to start off with a $10,000 starter allowance, and it is for 3 and up going 1 mile. That means they've started for a tag of 10 or less in 23, 24. Do have a couple scratches of numbers 6 and 7, but that does not affect the morning line favorite of the number 5, Bright Spark. And Gennaro Garcia, so happy to see him off to a phenomenal start. Great
Phenomenal.
horseman.
That is an understatement. 5 for 8. Pretty incredible early on for Gennaro Garcia. And with these purses here, he's picking up some good paychecks the first few weeks. we got a lot of sharp handicappers out here because I think they're noticing with On Esprit number 4, who's my top pick, and Nancy, you made this runner the top pick, 3 for 5 on a wet track.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And we saw yesterday horses that were winning, most of them had some decent experience over a wet track. So we're going to carry that thought into today, and On Esprit is the pick for me. Off Bright Spark's last race, he's certainly the one to beat. Has run 2 back-to-back great races, but he's 0 for 5 on a wet track. On Esprit's 3 for 5. Coming out of a starter allowance race at Churchill Downs on Claiming Crown Day, I wouldn't say this is necessarily that much of an easier field. I think that Bright Spark is very comparable to a horse like King of Hollywood, who I called at Monmouth, is a very nice, hard-knocking front runner. But I'm going to pick On Esprit. His last win came 3 starts ago at Saratoga, at a starter allowance type of condition that he finds here, a similar type of level. And he likes the wet going, so he's going to be my pick.
He's a 14-time winner. That is impressive in itself. And this one owned by Flying Peace Stable, campaigned by Mike Maker, and ridden by Ramon Vasquez. They teamed up for a victory in yesterday's feature event. So you also have to respect that 5 wins in 9 attempts at this distance have been victories. So, yeah, Matt and I having the same thoughts in the Saturday opener. Race number 2 is a Arkansas bred, an Arkansas bred for 3 and up, non-winners of 2, and they are in for the claiming price of $15,000, and they'll sprint 6 furlongs, no scratches, a full field of 12. And I'm going to be in the paddock, so say a little prayer for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, say a little prayer.
You're going to have you have to be on high alert.
You do have to be on high alert, definitely. It can be a little cantankerous, because I tell you what, they feel the barometric pressure horses do. I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, they sense things before we even do. So yeah, it can be Arkansas breds or not. It can sometimes be I wonder if I get hazard pay.
I don't know. That's something you need to talk to Eric at HR about.
Eric at HR.
Eric, if you're watching this,
no, I'm just kidding.
Hit her up. Give her a phone call.
Give me a phone call. Matt, what are your thoughts here in race number 2?
Just a side note, just getting off, staying on topic, but I was at the barn one time when there was an earthquake a number of years ago in California. And the horses, they were they started about 10 seconds before the earthquake started bopping around.
That's
and we were all
amazing.
going, what's going on here? And it's like when dogs bark, before an earthquake. So
they
can definitely sense things.
I remember those days. There was a fault line along the training track of Hollywood Park.
Oh, that's not good.
That was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure the '93 earthquake was not fun.
Well, thank God I was graduating high school then, so I did not know. I'm not that old.
I was in San Diego, and I was in San Diego as a little baby when the '93 earthquake came around. Apparently, my parents felt it, and I stayed fast asleep. So.
That's a good thing. You can take a. It's not. I don't know if that's good that you can take a shaking.
No.
Anyway,
I've never heard that phrase before. Let's get to race number 2. We got Strike Ridge in here. This horse, rightfully the morning line favorite. He comes off a layoff for Chris Hartman and Rafael Bejarano, and this horse ran a huge race in the wet going when he broke his maiden. He's in for 15. So since then, things haven't really panned out for him. I'm going to go to the runner right to the inside, Dalton's Retro. And this horse, even though he doesn't have a great record at first look on the page on a wet surface, he had a bad trip a few starts ago the last time we saw him on a wet surface. And last time out, that was that case. Coming off a layoff, this horse got squeezed, had to take up sharply at the break, made a wide, sustained run, and continued on, ran 5th. I thought it was a much better than looked effort. Second start off the layoff, he gets Louis Q back aboard, and Louis Q, the only time he's ridden this horse ran away for a maiden win before a layoff, before the Oaklawn meet ended last year. So I'm thinking Dalton's Retro at 9-2 is an interesting price as a trip play today.
I actually struggled with all the amazing races on the card today. I struggled with this race the hardest.
Okay.
When you look at it and then put it back and then come back. I landed on a horse. I said, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go with the number 3, Mr. Commander, owned and trained by Barry King, Julian Leperoux to take the reins. First time in the career versus Arkansas bred. So hoping to maybe find this runner's friend. Certainly needed that last race. It was off almost a year layoff, but also first time when facing winners. So all that into consideration, we will see. Does have a good experience over a wet track and has a win at the distance. I'm going to see if Mr. Commander can maybe light up the board, because it is days like this that we are going to see maybe some big prices light up on the tote board.
We saw big numbers with the pick 5s, the pick 4s the first
Yeah,
few weeks.
Statler helped that
Yes.
from the Kevin Martin barn. So, yeah, some big numbers, and it's good to kind of pay attention to the board, as Matt always alludes to. Race number 3 is for maiden claiming 12-5 is the tag. Arkansas breds in for 20, and they're going to go 6 furlongs in distance. Did have a scratch of numbers 6 and 9. I'm a little bummed about the 6. That was actually my top selection, but nonetheless, we still have a really competitive group. Matt, what do you think?
We do, and I think that Lord Diamond would be the play for me, or he is the play for me. This horse, last time he was on the dirt, ran a really good second for me in 12-5 in Indiana. This condition today here, his last race, he dueled on the lead, and he faded to 5th in a maiden 15 race at Turfway Park. I take that race with a grain of salt. I've experienced it at Golden Gate. Horses that run on synthetic, some of them can do all different things. Others, they either don't love the synthetic or their form is different on a different surface. So I crossed that race out. You're left with 2 sprint races as of late in which this horse ran really solid seconds in both affairs and didn't lose by much. And against this field, I think he fits, and the speed figures certainly indicate that. So Lord Diamond, I think today's the day for him to break the maiden.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lord Diamond as well. We did see Steve Asmussen score with a Lord Nelson runner yesterday right here at Oaklawn. Lord Nelson is 19% the sire with off going, so that trend maybe will continue here today. Race number 4 is for Arkansas bred maiden special weights. It is for 3-year-olds and up, and they'll go 3/4 of a mile in distance. Do have a scratch of the number 4 mandatory mission, but still a good field of 9 and just 2 first-time starters.
Just 2 first-time starters, but Burlsworth is the one that's going to get the most support in here after an off-the-board finish off a layoff and an open maiden special weight. Big difference going into the Arky bred conditions today. He's the horse to beat. He ran good races last year here at Oaklawn, just wasn't quite good enough to win. Second start off the break, I think this horse will be tough. However, I'm going to take a stab with a second-time starter named Jimmy drawing the rail. This horse first time out was well met. He got bet a little bit in a race in which there were many well-regarded Arkansas-bred first-time starters. That race on January 12th, I think, was one of the more stronger men maiden special weights last year for restricted 3-year-olds. This horse didn't run a step that day, and he gets first-time Lasix today. We haven't seen him since, so I'm thinking maybe something happened because he didn't run after that January race, and now he's come back with a couple of sneaky good workouts in terms of times on the page. I'm going to give him another shot, and you get the leading rider, Christian Torres. He's 12-1. I'm interested to see what he goes off at because he was pretty well meant at one point. I heard probably 5 or 6 horses in that maiden race that trainers were saying, oh, we got a runner here.
Yeah.
And this was one of them, but I think the right price, I'll take a shot.
Well, I'm going to go with the number 5, $2 Eddie. Greg Compton and Harry Hernandez team up here. I like the fact that this runner has shown speed, and that's going to be important. Has fared over and off track, but didn't fare well. But again, that was in the career debut. There's a lot going on when horses make their racing debut. They're in the paddock with multiple other horses. They're on the post parade. They're warming up. They're in the gate with more horses than they've ever been before. So I'm going to give him a mulligan in regards to that off-track appearance in the debut. But I like the fact that he's got the speed. That means he is not going to have to experience all of that kickback if he doesn't like it. So $2 Eddie coming off the break from mid-July at Delaware to a runner-up finish against Open Company. So we'll see how $2 Eddie. I think I knew a guy named $2 Eddie back in the day.
I'm imagining some dude named Eddie who liked to put $2 win bets down. That'd be my guess.
I think
Pretty cool.
my favorite Jersey friend was Joey Bag of Donuts.
Joey Bag.
I'm not making that up. He was one of my MMA buddies, Joey Bag of Donuts.
Did he like Dunkin' Donuts? You know what kind of places he liked to
I
get
don't
donuts?
know. I don't think it was literal donuts. I'm not sure if he maybe shoved them in people's mouths or you know. I don't know.
That's like Steve Aoki caking people, like throwing cake at people off the stage.
Got a very funny story for you, but that is for off air. Race number 5 is for 3-year-olds and up, a 30 starter allowance, and they will go 1 mile and 3/16. They've started for 30 or less in 2023-2024. Field of 10, and this is a very competitive group. Morning line favoritism does go to Brightleaf. I question if Brightleaf can get the distance. Certainly, they're going to probably prove me wrong. But Matt, where did you lean to here in the 5th?
He's a very interesting contender because that is a question mark. I would agree. I think that's the biggest question mark. I don't think the class is a problem. I don't think that he is a horse that is slower than this field in terms of speed figures. He more than stacks up. I've always liked this horse. I followed him when he was in California because there was a race, actually, Nancy, where he was clear. He was a younger horse in a starter allowance race, a non-2, and there were tracks of the gate. He jumped the tracks, and the rider fell off.
Ooh.
And the horse was in front by about 4 or 5 at that point, and the rider was okay, Emily Ellingwood. Horse was obviously fine. But I remember as he crossed the wire riderless, I looked at my friend who I was watching with. I said, this horse can run.
He
Just
can
not
run.
today, I guess.
Technically, the rider has to carry the weight, or the horse has to carry the weight throughout the running of the race distance.
Yes.
So if you are wondering.
Yeah, if that's unfortunately happens and you see your horse cross the wire first without a jockey, sorry.
Yeah.
But Brightleaf, he can run, and he has run some very good races. He's had a couple of rough luck trips, too, so I think there could be even more wins on the page here. This horse comes off an allowance race going a mile and an eighth at Keeneland, a tough race on October 16th. He went off at 12-1, just wasn't quite good enough. He didn't get the greatest trip, but he probably wasn't good enough to win anyway. There were 4 next out winners out of that race.
Wow.
So that is a key race. When you see 4 next out winners, especially in Kentucky. This horse's last win came for John Sadler 3 starts ago on a $32,000 claimer, and he was second first off the claim for Sean Williams behind Ultra Power, who is a Bob Baffert trained monster on his best day. He got I think he got 104 buyer that day, which was a higher buyer than the Pacific Classic winner mixed
pretty
up.
high, yeah.
So Brightleaf, enough of my blabbering. He's the pick. I like him.
Well, I'm going to go with the number 4, Gilded Kraken from the barn of Joe Sharp, Christian Torres, who had a phenomenal day, hoping that trend does continue on this Saturday. Does return to the distance of his last win. I like that handicapping angle as well. That actually came 2 back at Keeneland. Mile and 3/16 is kind of unorthodox, and it's not the easiest for some horses to get, but certainly made it a gate-to-wire effort. And he had Tyler Gaffleone that day. He gets 1 great jockey, goes to another great jockey. His just has better numbers, and they just seem to be more consistent. There is speed to his inside as well, but because of the numbers that I use, I'm very big on Thorough Manager. I did lean towards the number 4, Gilded Kraken from the barn of Joe Sharp. We're going to take a quick break here on this Saturday edition of Oaklawn Today, and when we return, we'll discuss some 2-year-olds.
Experience the excitement of horse racing with Oaklawn Anywhere. If you're an Arkansas resident, you can watch and wager on horse racing from around the globe, whether you're at home or on the go, with any smartphone, laptop, or tablet, anytime, anywhere. Download the free Oaklawn Anywhere app and register for a sign-up bonus. With access to past performances, live video, race replays, and expert handicapping data, you're always in the know with no subscription fees. Bet online anytime with Oaklawn Anywhere. Exclusively available to Arkansans. Right, Max? Oaklawn Anywhere. Our season never ends. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
And we're off in the Tinsel Stakes. Speed Bias continues to grind along. War Campaign has to finish. Speed Bias second best. And War Campaign ships into Arkansas and wins the Tinsel Stakes.
And there's a look at the Tinsel Stakes, which we will run and discuss in just a few moments. But right now, let's get to maybe, I'm going to call it a little preview of tomorrow, as this is for 2-year-olds. Maiden claiming 50,000, set to go 6 furlongs, to have a couple scratches of the 3 and the 13. And just 2 first-time starters. That'd be pretty cool to score on debut before the year's over.
That would be fun for them, heading into their 3-year-old seasons. And Speechless and Landing Craft both scratch. We're going to see them tomorrow. So if you're excited to see these youngsters, don't worry. You're going to have to wait 24 hours, but you'll see them tomorrow in the afternoon. I went to the outside in this race, Nancy. Miracle on Central. I'm looking for the Rafael Bejarano, Chris Hartman train to just keep on rolling here. They're starting to roll. We saw Henro win yesterday. We saw him win a couple other races last week. And Miracle on Central, first time out, ran over a sloppy surface in a maiden special weight. Got an okay speed figure, but wasn't good enough to win or even hit the board. But he finished behind Donut God, a next out stakes winner who won that day. Came back routing in a 1-turn mile on a fast track at Churchill. Didn't run well after dueling on the lead. Couldn't keep up at a very fast pace. And now this horse freshens up, drops for 50 for the Hartman stable, a son of Caraconti. Interestingly enough, these turf horses / turf stallions, when you see turf pedigree in there, that tells you there's a good chance they'll like the slop. You would think it'd be the other way around, but horses that are turfy sometimes do enjoy the wet going. So he ran well first down in the slop, just wasn't good enough to win, but I think he's good enough to beat this field here. So I like this spot. He's 8-1. I'm hoping we can get something close to it.
Well, I'm going to go a little further to the inside of the gate with the number 7, Zoom, coming from the barn of Brad Cox. Ramon Vasquez being extremely aggressive with this entry. He was a $500,000 purchase at the Keeneland September sale last year and showed us some really impressive speed on debut. He was first out of the gate, set some nice fractions, went 21-4, 45-4, 58-2, and then got tired late down at Fairgrounds in late November. So I'm thinking second time around where the barn excels. And as we have discussed ad nauseum, the biggest class drop in horse racing is from maiden special weight into maiden claiming ranks. So he's in for the tag. And also Speightstown, his sire, is 24% with runners second time out, and also 20% over the wet. And I'm thinking the Brad Cox barn, they are very anxiously looking for their still first win of the meet, and very likely could get it here today. Race number 7 is a first level allowance for 3-year-olds and up. They're going to go 1 mile and a 16th in a full field of 12, scratching your also eligibles. And it's not unusual, Matt, that you probably call more horses than I'm going to say any other track announcer, because we have these full fields.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes for fun. I was going to say, this is where the fun begins.
Exactly.
We've got today especially, you want to key into the late pick 4 sequence, Nancy. I think this is a fantastic sequence, big fields, good quality. And on top of that, you're not going to find any type of field sizes like this other than Oaklawn Park throughout the country. So with that in mind, we're going to look for horses that can win, and I like Sir Greyland in this race, coming off a third-place finish off a layoff to Empire Builder and Gano. Gano, a very nice son of Into Mischief for the Paulo Lobo barn, coming in from Kentucky. Empire Builder has Class 2, and he held him off. I thought that field was a little bit stronger than the field he finds here. He was coming off a break that day, going 1 mile and a 16th, so now he's got a race under his belt. I think he can be even more tight for this race. He's 3-1. Not a price that you're going to look and go, wow, this is amazing. But you know what? He's not the morning line favorite. I think Lambeth, who is the morning line favorite, will go off favorite. And I think Sir Rayland is a really good chance, especially if he can run a little bit faster this time.
Yeah, well, I do certainly agree that Lambeth, the morning line favorite, is going to be extremely tough.
Yes.
Joe Sharp and Christian Torres team up, was entered down at the fairgrounds, but decided to run here. Why? More money. more coin. Has been facing tougher second level allowance the last 2 starts. This again is a first level allowance. This was the area that this 3-year-old scored 4 races back against first level allowance at Indiana, going 1 mile 70. It's interesting that his his second time against second level allowance, and his first time against with the Joe Sharp barn was over the slop at 7.5 at Churchill. He ran 4th to 3 next out winners, including Liberal Arts, who just won by daylight in an allowance race the day after Christmas down at the fairgrounds. So 3 next out winners. I love key race angles, and the fact that Arrogate 26% over the wet going. So, but a really, really good first level allowance. It's almost like, when they say horses, if they can break their maiden for maiden special at Saratoga, you've got future stakes winners.
Sure.
I think this is certainly the case, up and coming stakes winners at Oaklawn for these first level allowance runners.
And you see a lot of these horses in this type of race with plenty of experience. And some of these horses, this are where they'll peak. They'll run their good numbers. It's good enough to win a race like this if they're eligible for it. But others, they're sort of late bloomers. You don't see a lot of horses win these type of races here that have run 2-3 times. But you see them sometimes. They're late bloomers. They win. And then they start getting good.
As a personal late bloomer, Matt, I can relate. So. Yeah.
I never thought you were a late bloomer. Like every time I've met you, you're like right to the point.
Oh no, I'm talking about like in life.
Oh, in life.
I think I'm a late bloomer. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I was a late bloomer too. Or am, I guess.
No, you're still race number 8's a first level allowance. Fillies and mares. I'm going to get a call from my mom after that one. 3-year-olds and up as they are set to go 6 furlongs in distance. Another full field of 12 just scratching the also eligible, and the morning line favorite down on the inside, Brunch Punch. Yes, please. I would love to flavor some Brunch Punch. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a mimosa. I don't know. Brunch Punch.
I was going to ask, what flavor is this?
I don't know.
Punch?
Whatever flavor you want.
Okay.
That's what I think. And they do have speaking of brunch, they have a great brunch in the Bugler on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
I think we need to go try this out.
I think we do.
before
Maybe
the
we should
show.
do a remote.
Okay. That'd
I
be
think we
fun.
should.
Or we could
and
sit and have bacon and eggs.
Derek's
and
over there going, no,
yeah.
you're not.
We could have bacon and eggs, right? And
a little bagel and lox, which is my personal fave.
okay, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
There you go. This is a good idea.
All right, Matt. Let's get back to business and get off brunch talk. What's your top selection?
I love brunch. I don't love punch. And I would say this. I think this horse has a good chance to win, but I'm not picking her. I'm going to go somewhere else. We're going to go towards number 8, Outrageously. She has turned into a new filly since getting to the sprint game. They tried her first time out on synthetic for maiden 15, and she didn't run a step on synthetic. She tried routing, broke her maiden routing on synthetic, didn't get great numbers, got to the dirt, got to sprinting, and she has thrived for trainer Jordan Blair. Comes off a starter allowance winning One for Fun. So a lot of times I like to play first out horses that win a starter allowance and go to the first level because I think that's a legit jump in terms of class. But the way she won indicates that she's got tactical speed and she's ready to take a step up because she won by 3.5 and I think could have won by more. 2 starts ago for a non-2 condition, she smoked and won by 7. So I think this will be a good class test, and I'm going to pick her in here.
Well, I'm now kicking myself after your explanation that I did not include her in my top 4, but I do like Brunch Punch on top, coming from the Barn of Bradcox. We'll see if he can get a double. He does get the services of our leading rider in Christian Torres. Got a little tired late after setting some very quick fractions last out. That was over the slop at Churchill, actually on Halloween, going 6 furlongs. They wrapped up in 109 and 4. They were rolling late in the lane, and that is a long, long stretch. So set the early fractions and some very quick fractions with the half and 45 flat and 5/8 and 57. But I like the fact that this runner can also, not sure what that was, can also be tactical. So races third off the layoff. We all know I love that particular handicapping angle and has been in the money in 2 starts over and off track. So we shall see. And it is absolutely deluging outside, and I'm seeing some lightning. So hopefully that passes through the area.
I remember I was at Golden Gate Field sitting in the announcer's booth there a couple years ago, and I saw on the screen Oaklawn Park the day before Arkansas Derby. We got a tornado warning. I said, geez, I hope everyone's all right.
We lost one race because of that. That's it.
That was
pretty amazing. I mean,
that is
I will
amazing.
never forget that day. Yeah, that was very, very interesting.
So don't bring umbrellas outside, I guess, with lightning, right?
Yeah, that's usually not. Yeah, I have Caddyshack
Right.
references anytime I do that. The Golfers, not the Golfers. race
great
9
movie.
is the 4th running of the Tinsel for 3 and up, and they will go 1 1/8 for a purse of $175,000. Did have a couple scratches, as I mentioned. Liberal Arts won the other day down at the fairgrounds in an allowance, and the number 7 Creative Minister out as well. You've got a horse stakes debut taking on a multiple graded stakes winner in Red Route 1. A very interesting setup.
This horse has won 3 of his last 4 races, and the only one he didn't win, he was going a mile and an eighth, which is today's distance. But trainer Phil D'Amato, per DRF with Mary Rampolini, noted, I actually think this horse is going to like a little more ground. He won a 7-furlong race and beat Track Phantom, who's a very nice horse, was a top 3-year-old last year, or earlier in the year, I should say. 2 next down winners out of that last race that Horseman comes out of. That said, I'm going to take a class dropper here, Red Route 1, who likes this track. We saw him win here a couple years ago. I think that they expected a little more from him as an older horse. They were hoping he'd be a grade 1, grade 2 type of horse, and it hasn't worked out. His last win, though, 2 starts ago, it came in the Cornhusker over his stablemate Unload, who we are going to see in this race as well. Red Route 1, I'm hoping that Unload helps set things up for Red Route 1 because Frosted Departure from the rail is going to send, and I'm hoping Unload, who likes to be close, is going to be up there too. This horse needs a pace. He's a deep closer. He's run well in the slot before. Red Route 1 on the class drop is going to be my pick. But a fun rendition with these 2 favorites, and I would agree with the morning line. They're certainly the ones to beat.
Well, I'm sure people are going to at me on social media because I didn't go with Red Route 1, but I do like the fact that Horace Mann, it's almost like the light bulb went off after a race at Ellis was forced off the turf to be run on the main. They said, you know what, let's just give him a shot. We'll see what happens. And he won for fun by more than 5 lengths. Yeah. It's almost, was it Cigar that was on the turf? And then they moved to the main, and then just greatness happened.
Yes.
So it's interesting that, you know, later in this runner's career, they did move to the main, and it has been an absolute success. Martin Garcia has been in the irons for those last 4 starts. He's a big, long, striding, good-looking horse. And that last race on November 9th at Churchill, when he went 7 furlongs, he beat a very, very nice group, including Rocket Can, who came back to win a grade 3 at Gulfstream Park. So been steadily on the improve, just superior numbers. And I do believe that this is a great place to test those stakes waters. It's time to, you know, get off the pot, so to speak. And I think this is a great start.
And we've got a lot of money in that older handicap division.
Yes.
So this is a good starting point for horses that maybe they're trying to figure out, are they ready to take that bump up and face tougher? These overnights will give them a good indication.
Yeah, very good point. We do close out the 10-race program with a first-level allowance for 3-year-olds and up, and they will contest a mile and a 16th in distance. And guess what? It's a full field of 12, Woo-hoo. Just scratching the also eligibles. Matt, you got your work in cut in for you. God bless you. There's no way I could ever do that job.
And it's in the wet going, too.
And it's
so
in the
this
wet
makes
go.
it even more
And
fun.
if the fog comes in, I'm sure you've experienced plenty of fog being a Bay Area race caller.
Yes.
So I can remember, they should be at the half, and maybe they're going to, you definitely, at least you've got more experience than probably other announcers.
I remember Tom Durkin on the far turn in a race at Aqueduct probably 15 years ago. He goes, "This is a great race. Wish I could see it." Because they were in the fog.
Who knew? What are your thoughts here in who do you like in the last?
Yeah, this is a fun race. And I went towards the outside. Gold Brick, son of Golden Sense, that broke his maiden here over a sloppy surface going a mile. After that, took a bunch of time off and came back. Has run 5th twice. One of those races last time out was on a muddy surface at this condition. And he was going a mile, and he's cutting back to this sprint today. Lightline, the winner of that race, pretty nice horse, I would say. And Gold Brick, 3rd start in the form cycle here, I think could run his best, and I like him a little bit at 8-1. The price is right. I think if he was a lower price, I'd probably look elsewhere, but his speed figures stack up with everybody else's in here. A little bit on the inconsistent side. He sometimes shows up, sometimes he just runs okay. But he's always around, and I think that he likes this track as well because his 2 best races by far have come here at Oaklawn, and I like that he's back here in Hot Springs for Brett Calhoun.
I'm a little concerned about the far outside post of the number 12 Latlong, my top pick, but the fact that he can sit back and close does give me confidence, is proven over and off track, does come off a layoff, however, from late June at Churchill when going 1 1/8 against first level option 100 claimers. Ran a good third, but probably, being 3, they said, you know what, we're going to give him some time. We're going to let him maybe fill out a little bit more, put some groceries in him, and he looks like he has probably come back in good form, because when you look at the work tab that he's been clocking down at the fairgrounds, 2 works back on December 14th, he went 5/8 and 59 and 4 and earned a bullet for that particular morning drill. So I'm going to go with Lat Long with McPeak and Julian Leparoux, and the horse does have a win here because he was a maiden winner last meet here in Hot Springs.
I want to note, too, I made a mistake. I said this was a sprint. It's not. It's a route.
Well,
so even more reason, because Goldberg, I think, is better at 2 turns.
I forgive you, Matt.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Thank you.
It's okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at our $20 show bet bonus parlays. And Matt goes with race number 2 to start things off, 2, 5, 7, 9 with Dalton's Rutrow, Gilded Kraken, Sir Greyland, and Red Route 1. While I'm going to go with the opener with the number 4 On a Spree, then to the 4th with $2 Eddie, then Lambeth in the 7th, and Horace Mann in the feature. Long shot play of the day, Matt goes with race 6, the far outside, Miracle on Central. Well, I'm going to close it out with the number 12, the McPeak runner, Lat Long. And, Matt, we're going head-to-head.
Yes.
Top pick sponsored by Oaklawn Anywhere. Matt goes with, we're both race 8. Matt's going with Outrageously. Wow, I'm going to go with Brunch Punch. I think we should put a $10 daily double. The winner gets a $10 daily double.
That sounds like a
Yeah,
plan.
we'll
You're
do that.
on. This is the old school, just put them up, let's see who's best.
Shuck
here.
and jive, shuck
That's
and
it.
jive. So, really good races. Don't forget, tomorrow is all 2-year-old racing. You might just see a future champion. We have a phenomenal stakes in the year's end, and we'll be out. I'll be in the paddock, in the studio, and maybe out and about on property. Little hint, hint. You might see me somewhere new today.
Spoiler
and
alert.
Spoiler alert. And Matt is going to go up. Wow. It's a nice little rumble right
Yeah.
there.
I think Mother Nature is excited to play the
Mother
early
Nature
pick
is
5.
very excited about the pick 5s today. So without further ado, best of luck to you, and stay safe on this Saturday with us here at Oaklawn Park.
as it ever was. Same 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 as it ever was. Water dissolving and water removing. There is water at the bottom of the ocean. Under the water, carry the water. Remove water at the bottom of the ocean. Water dissolving and water removing.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching and wagering on Oaklawn Park. Without further ado, we now ask you to please rise and remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can now get out your pens, pencils, and programs because we now have today's changes. Here they come. Our dirt track is sloppy today. Rainy weather, east winds coming in at 5 miles an hour, temperatures at 56 degrees. Again, our track condition is sloppy this afternoon. Here come today's changes. In the first race today, scratch number 6, El Cerrito. Scratch number 7, Inca Empire. Numbers 6 and 7 both scratched out of race 1. The first race begins the early pick 5 wager. In the second race today, we're clear. No changes in race number 2. In the third race, scratch number 6, Westeros, also scratch number 9, Seeking the Game. Numbers 6 and 9 both withdrawn out of race 3. Also in the third race, number 8, Lord Diamond, is 1 pound overweight. And number 11, String Theory, 1 pound over. In the fourth race, we take out number 4, Mandatory Mission. Scratch number 4, Mandatory Mission, in race number 4 today. In the fifth race on the program, we're clear. No changes in race number 5. Over in the sixth race, that's the first leg of the late pick 5 sequence. Number 3, Speechless, is scratched. And scratch the also eligible number 13, Landing Craft. Numbers 3 and 13 both scratched out of race 6. Also in the sixth race, number 6, Mo Missioner, is 3 pounds overweight. In the seventh race today, we begin the late pick 4 sequence. In race number 7, scratch the also eligibles numbers 13 and 14. Also in race 7, number 10, Anthonian, is 2 pounds overweight, so is number 12, Linebacker. In the eighth race on the card, we scratch number 13, First Hill, the also eligible First Hill, number 13, out of race 8. And also in the eighth race, number 1, Brunch Punch, is 1 pound overweight. 3, Benny K and Susie 2, 4 pounds over. 7, Bantera, 5 pounds overweight. The ninth race is our feature race. It's the fourth running of the $175,000 Tinsel Stakes for 3-year-olds and upward, going a mile and an eighth. In the 2024 Tinsel, scratch number 2, Liberal Arts, and scratch number 7, Creative Minister. Numbers 2 and 7 both scratched out of the Tinsel, race 9. The nightcap is race number 10. In the finale, number 9, Bourbon's Fault, is 2 pounds overweight, and we scratch the also eligibles, numbers 13 and 14. Those are all the changes, ladies and gentlemen. 26 minutes until the first race. Enjoy your afternoon watching and wagering on Oaklawn Park.
Diamond light, lover boy.
We're here to break down the basics of wagering
and the types of bets you can place.
to hopefully make your day at the races less intimidating and more entertaining.
Let's dive into the basics of making a bet.
The first type of bet is to win. If you bet on a horse to win, this means your horse must finish first.
If you bet on a horse to place, this means your horse must finish first or second.
And if you bet on a horse to show, this means your horse must finish first, second, or third.
You can also make 3 equal win, place, and show bets.
This is called across the board.
If your bet is $2 across the board on horse 1,
You will spend $6 total,
$2 to win on 1,
$2 to place on one,
and $2 to show on 1.
and if your horse comes in third, you collect the show money only.
If your horse comes in second, you collect on the place and show.
And if your horse wins, you collect on all 3 wagers, win, place, and show.
When betting at the window, be prepared to tell the clerk the name of the racetrack, race number, amount of your bet, type of bet, and the horse number. Now it's time for you to place your bets.
Good luck.
For centuries, the bond between horse and human has been forged in trust and hands-on care. Thoroughbred racing is combining that tradition with cutting-edge technology to raise our standards even higher. New investments in wearable biometrics, advanced imaging, and AI help optimize our safety programs.
That opening quarter mile was a quick one.
Every day, a commitment to improving their care. So win or lose, it's safety that runs first. To learn more, visit safetyrunsfirst.com.